Jupiter Broadcasting presents this show in mega stereo sound. This episode brought to you in part by GoDaddy.com.
This week on the Linux Action Show, we're hosting an action LAN party and we frag through our favorite Linux games. Has Linux won the gaming crown? Or will our LAN party blow up in our face? Tune in to find out. Plus, has Banshee jumped the shark? We debate! And so much more! All this week! Linux Action Show! Yeah! And welcome to Linux Action Show Season 21, Episode 2. My name is Brian. That guy's Chris.
Hey there, Brian. Good morning to you. Did you know that some McDonald's locations run Linux?
I did.
Look at this.
A McDonald's location next to me runs Linux.
This was sent in by a Reddit user over on our linuxactionshow.reddit.com, and he got a screen grab of the like authentication window that comes up for Ubuntu, and he says based on the theme, he thinks it might even be Ubuntu 8.10.
It looks like it.
You can kind of see the no menu bar along the top, and it's super old school.
That is way old school.
Yeah. But so those digital displays at your local McDonald's may be powered, in fact, by Ubuntu 8.10.
So first, we've got like Zambia spreading internet and powering users all across the country through those internet cafes that were powered by Linux. And now we have McDonald's, which really is pretty much the same thing in terms of like, you know, value to the human race.
It's like the backdoor year of Linux, Brian. It's like because like now it's just showing up everywhere.
Everywhere.
Well, this is going to be a fun episode. It's time to shake off things and have a fun one. So in the second half of the show, Brian and I, the whole segment, we're taking it in the face.
Games.
Oh, right. Games. And so we're going to play with the live stream, and they'll probably be shooting us in the face. And
when Chris said taking it in the face, he meant a pie. He meant someone was going to throw a pie in our face.
I meant
because
virtual,
that would be family friendly.
Virtual bullets, because we're going to be we're going to get fragged by the live stream. So we'll do highlights of that. And
is
also,
that what you meant?
Yeah. We'll cover some of our favorite games. Also, we got a great how-to later on in the show from Matt. He's stopping by with another how-to segment, and this one will show you how to tame Pulse Audio. So I'm looking forward to that.
Which is also great.
But B-Man, we have got Android app picks, Linux desktop picks, random distros to cover before all of that. But first, really, we should say good morning to GoDaddy.com. Well, hi there. Hi.
Oh, whoa. You're covering
Brian.
up Danica. Get your head out of the way.
No, I'm Danica. Hi, Brian.
That's messing with me. That's messing with me.
So
Get your head out of there, dude. All right, those of you who listen to the audio show, you missed out on something wonderful.
Thanks to a little green screen trickery, I was able to essentially stand up in Danica's spot on the screen, but assume her hairstyle.
Terrible.
So GoDaddy.com.
That's just terrible.
GoDaddy.com, B-Man, is extending an offer to the Linux Action Show audience just until the end of the month. I'm serious, dude. If you want to get look at these .cos. These .cos, you can do all kinds of things. Like check out what some nice people in the Jupiter Broadcasting audience did with a .co. JupiterBroadcasting.co brings you to
links to everything.
Hyper optimized mobile version, super low cut. It's just links. It's like a directory. So you can go in here now. It's a little out of date because
super low cut.
They're working on it. No,
like the shirt is.
No, not low cut, low bandwidth.
You got kind of a dirty mind today.
I guess.
Like it's just kind of seeping out of your mouth there.
It's because you're so handsome.
You're welcome.
All right. Yeah. So check that out, man. So it's a little out of date. So they're still working on it, but that's what you can do. Is
that's pretty cool.
It takes the domain name everybody knows, and you just tweak it a little bit, and it's this is the supplementary service to it. And B-Man, until the end of March, you can get a .co for $7.99.
That's so cheap.
But you got to use the code COFEB7.
COFEB7.
Yep. So thanks to GoDaddy for their support of the Linux Action Show and the Jupiter Broadcasting Network.
I feel kind of bad, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So I started up all these different domains and websites to run, and they all run on GoDaddy servers. I registered the domains with GoDaddy. I hosted them over at GoDaddy, and they're cheap. Like I put up my webcomic over at GoDaddy.
You probably used the code Linux20 when you got hosting.
You bet your bottom I did. Yeah. And it was dirt cheap. But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to start consolidating all my domains. So I moved my webcomic is now living at my lunduke.com, and everything is now moving over to lunduke.com.
Consolidated.
which means I'm going to be giving GoDaddy even less money. So now I'm getting to the point where I'm hosting stuff I used to have on like 3 different
had a lot
servers.
Of servers, yeah.
Now is all on one GoDaddy shared host for like $7 a month.
That's how you do it.
I kind of feel guilty because it's so cheap.
It's like
I am just roasting their traffic bandwidth. Like I'm putting so many big gigantic files on there.
Don't tell them. Don't tell them. Just don't say anything.
I feel guilty though.
They won't catch.
That's ridiculous.
All right, B-Man, I got my Android pick this week, and I think it's great for those of you who want to accomplish a couple of different tasks. It's called Babbler, and you might guess a little bit what it does based on that title.
Based on the icon.
Yeah.
The icon is a green man drawn strangely with a red nose.
The icon's a little rough, I'll give you that. But here's what it does.
I don't think it's rough. I think it's high quality. Looking at the lines, it's real crisp and clean. I think they meant to make it look like that. I guess. I think that was on purpose.
So here's what it does. It's a multi-purpose sound recorder that has a couple of different options. If you leave it in one mode, it will automatically activate recording once it hears sound. So it's like a little sensor. So like you could leave it in a room, or you could have it in a meeting.
It's good for spying.
It's good for spying.
Could it be going in the background?
Also, I don't know about in the background, but also you could use it like if you think you're talking in your sleep and you just wanted to record. So you'll record for a little bit when you make a noise, and it'll stop after some silence. It gets even cooler than that too. You can also have it programmed. It'll sit there and it'll watch for audio, and you can also have it automatically respond. So you could actually have it take calls, and you could be like on a conference call, and you hook in the headphone jack, and you just set it to auto mode. And when there's a pause in the conversation, you can have it say predefined things like, yeah, okay, and things like that. So it's like you're faking you're there. And if you have a rooted Android phone, on some phones, it'll also be able to record your call conversations, both sides of it, which is it's kind of cool. It records to WAV, and then you can export to MP3 if you want. And I don't know, it could be a little sneaky with it, I guess, if you wanted to. But at the same time, I think you also could have some fun with it.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the icon is the creepiest thing I think I've ever seen.
Right.
But the app is kind of cool looking.
Right.
Yeah. But seriously, that is a really creepy icon.
Yeah.
I mean, that is super creepy.
It looks like a Halloween app or something.
It looks scary as hell. He's only got 4 teeth. They're all busted up.
Yeah, I know.
Holy moly!
What can you do? All right, B-Man. Well, you have got you've got a random distro. We can go. You've also got an app pick.
Let's talk about the app pick first. Where is that at?
It's right here.
It's Frodo.
Boom.
It's Frodo. We're doing games today, so I'm going with Frodo. And here's what Frodo is. It's a Commodore 64 emulator.
I see that.
That's it. It emulates a Commodore 64. You want to play old Commodore 64 games?
No.
You download Frodo.
Oh.
Wait, what do you mean no?
I'm just kidding.
What do you mean no?
I'm just...
Think about all the amazing Commodore 64 games you could play right now.
Hey, Brian, guess who knows right where your buttons are? Just beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, those are pretty good buttons, aren't they? Yeah, those are good ones.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, Frodo is awesome. You guys know me. I love things like DOSBox. I love being able to play those old games. Frodo is right along the same lines, where you can go onto any machine. Here, in fact, I've got several machines that run Frodo right now. My little N810 internet tablet that you can pick up for like $7.12 off
Does that
eBay
run
half the
Frodo,
time.
Brian?
It can if you want to. Oh, look at this. Little N900. Boom.
That surely doesn't run Frodo, Brian.
Oh my gosh. Android phone. You can get Frodo off of that as well.
Brian, does that run Frodo?
It can run Frodo.
No.
My Linux desktop at home. You know what that runs?
It probably can't.
Frodo.
No.
Dang straight.
Huh.
So it is Commodore 64.
Teaches me. What do I know?
It is old. Older than Batguano. This stuff is old. But there's some really great games.
Now, hold on.
The old Commodore 64.
Hold on.
You got games like Mule and some seriously great games. Batguano is probably pretty old. Do you know how old Batguano is?
Well, I would just think it would depend on the bat.
That would depend on the bat.
And when
It's a really good point.
Yeah, okay.
Man, I'm glad I have you here to keep things straight.
You're welcome.
All right, so Frodo's awesome. Not most cutting edge thing in the world, but kind of awesome. So, moving on to the random distro.
Let's do that, B-Man.
Now, the random distro today is very different. You remember last week we talked about, I believe it was a Spanish distribution, and I tried to speak Spanish and Spainland and all sorts of things.
Didn't work so well.
I didn't know really what was going on there.
No.
This one, and this is interesting, English, so I know what's going on and can actually tell you. This one is called Redo. It is literally just a backup and recovery live CD distro. That's what it is. That's what it does. It comes with like a whole mess of tools for backing up your system, verifying your system, and recovering systems.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it does, and that's all it does.
Lean and mean, right?
Yeah.
There you have it.
Yeah, and it looks good. Like literally, you check out the screenshots. It is a gigantic empty desktop.
Yeah.
With a menu with like 3 icons in it.
They got
which they know what they're doing.
They got last update in August 9, 2011, and
So pretty recent.
So it seems that this would be perfect for people who might be in a disaster situation. For bare metal restores and things like that, it says. So there you have it. Very cool,
pretty nice.
man. I like that one.
Yep. Not gaming related though. I was really hoping the random distro would be a gaming related one, and I almost deviated from the randomness and was like, you know what, I'm going to cherry pick a gaming one.
Right. Oh, sure, because it fit in.
But then I would be ruining the randomness.
Right.
So randomness, you delivered a redo.
Randomness has been maintained. All right, B-Man. Well, I think that's everything for the top of the show. Let's do the news.
What's new in the news this week?
All right, B-Man, the top story on the news docket for this week has to be a gaming related
It has to be. Yeah. And it just so happens that it actually is. This was just really lucky.
Yeah. Wasteland 2 will be coming to Linux. Now you remember this is the game that's gotten a ton of coverage because of their extremely successful Kickstarter campaign.
Yep.
And their developers did this kind of interesting video you could watch, and so they had pledged certain benchmark spots on funding, and if they had reached those benchmarks, they would go open source, or they'd go a Linux port. Sorry, not open source.
Right.
And they reached $1.5 million and some change in funding via Kickstarter for this game. And now it's going to be a multi-platform game. And
that's awesome.
People are really excited. It's going to be DRM free, low price, they say.
I should hope it's going to be low priced, being as they don't need to recoup their investment costs.
Well, yeah. I mean,
this
is incredible.
I think this is great. Look,
Wasteland,
prepaid, right? The first Wasteland, great game.
Yeah.
Great game.
Yeah.
I love seeing a sequel. The fact that a sequel is coming to Linux is super awesome. Right. I love this. This is incredibly good news. I want to say big kudos to the guys behind this. Huge kudos. Part of me is very, very worried about this, though.
Oh, really?
Because this stuff has been going on for a little bit now. Like, you remember we had an adventure game coming to us from the guys that created Day of the Tentacle.
Yep.
And they had a very successful Kickstarter campaign.
Yep.
No game. Not even the beginning, really, of a game. Wasteland 2, no game. Not even really the beginning of a game. Basically, some guys got together. They decided, we want to make a game. They had a license for Wasteland. They can make it. They haven't delivered anything yet.
You think?
Now here's the problem I have with it.
All right.
And I don't blame these guys at all, because this is awesome. This is really good stuff. The thing I'm worried about is most software projects fail. Most.
Well, there's a lot on the hook when it's pre-funded.
Open source, closed source. Most projects don't ship.
Well, now with Kickstarter, they don't get paid until the job's done, right? Job's finished, or is it when development starts?
They get paid. Once the Kickstarter project is funded, they get paid. That's my understanding.
Job's finished, Brian.
Job done.
Yeah. So I guess they run that risk, but it seems like it's a pretty public way to fail. This is a proven development house, though? So
yeah, I mean, hopefully, but like most game shops don't ship all the games they try to make. You know what I mean? They'll get near the end of making a game, and they don't actually ship it. So my worry is that this game or the adventure game that's being made won't make it, and then using Kickstarter or this sort of crowdfunding is going to go out the window. People are going to lose their faith in it.
We'll see.
So a lot is riding on it, you guys. I mean, seriously, you guys have to ship on time, and it has to be awesome. Otherwise, people are going to give all this crowdfunding stuff a big thumbs down, and it's going to screw it over for everybody.
I agree with you there.
I think it's awesome, but I'm worried. I'm really anxious to see it work out.
They seem like they really are following through on this stuff. Nothing's like setting off my spider sense, but I do agree with you that if it does flop, it's bad.
It's bad for everybody.
Yeah.
So a lot is riding on these first couple of really big Kickstarter projects, and so I'm a little nervous about it, because honestly, I would love to jump in with a Kickstarter thing.
Yeah,
because it's a great idea. You can fund a project up front, and that's a great idea. A little worried, but either way, as long as this ships, we're getting Wasteland 2 for Linux, and that's really the important part.
All right, well, let's talk about the next story on the news docket, because there was kind of a big to-do about it this week in the Linux news circle, and that was that next month we'd see the premiere of LibreOffice for the web.
Yeah.
We actually covered the story like last year,
yeah.
But what that actually was based on, those stories that started percolating around the web, were actually just based on an earlier press release from the Document Foundation like a while ago.
A while back, yeah.
The reality is LibreOffice actually won't be coming to the web next month. This is a correction that was posted on 23rd of March over at honline.com. The main holdup is LibreOffice Online is going to use the Broadway GTK Plus backend to render its user interface onto an HTML5 canvas, and that backend is still only listed as experimental by its developers. So the sort of key piece they're using to bring GTK apps to the web just isn't ready yet.
Oh, okay, so it's just not coming yet.
Yeah, so it's not like, I guess, and that could be pretty interesting. That'd be an interesting experience to see a GTK app
rendered inside an HTML5 canvas.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah. Also, just as a secondary note, now there was a discussion thread on our Reddit this week about how the fact that we don't really talk about LibreOffice, and when we do, we often refer to it as OpenOffice because we're old codgers.
We've been talking about OpenOffice for so long, and then we made fun of OpenOffice because it had the .org on its name, so we always everyone yelled at us because it's not OpenOffice, it's OpenOffice.org.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
But now I realize, and you made a good point over on the Reddit, we don't actually use it that much.
I don't use desktop editor apps anymore. And if I do, it's all text.
Yeah, that's most of what I do is either text, or I'm on the other end and I'm doing like graphic layout work, like I'm laying out comic books, which turns out LibreOffice not meant for comic books. No. So I load up LibreOffice pretty much only to create PDF files. That's the only thing I use it for, is creating a PDF
If I'm doing
file.
like a quick,
it's nice and I love it.
If I'm doing like,
that's all I use it for.
Back in the day for a client, if I needed like here's a screenshot, how to.
Yes.
That's better in LibreOffice.
Yeah, it works good.
But if I have something that's even slightly doc-ish needed, then I go to Google Docs. Honestly, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I end up using text files inside of Dropbox or something like that.
But
that's what I do.
And like the Gibson is saying in the live chat room, and I completely agree here, LibreOffice, I think in the school environment or any traditional work environment where an office suite is needed, I mean, LibreOffice is no joke.
It's the bee's knees.
It's just we're a couple of guys who don't use it.
Yeah, well I use it. Yeah. It's installed on every machine I have.
Oh yeah, but like
my tutorials for Illumination, I made all those in LibreOffice because it works great, and it's perfect for that. It creates great, nice, rich text documents. But me, I use a text file.
Yep,
I'm old.
You'll notice on that Unity taskbar there, I took off all of the OpenOffice icons LibreOffice icons.
They're all gone.
Yeah,
they're all gone over. I mean, come on, guys. I use Xmonad and the awesome window manager for most of my stuff.
Right.
I mean,
I do, and I know some people use LaTeX. I honestly, my approach a lot of times,
like LaTeX.
I'm text files with Markdown because Markdown also translates well to publishing on our website. So I just that's
kind of the way I go too.
Yeah. So, anyways, they're also working on an Android port of LibreOffice, but they claim it is a huge development effort, which I'm sure it is.
That would be killer.
And they say it's still below 50% complete. But the Document Foundation won't be making any announcements about it because of that. So don't expect tablet versions of LibreOffice
before 2013.
Yep. But that would be really cool.
That'd be way cool.
All right, B-Man. So there's a big story this week in the Linux land. Any guesses what it is?
New version of Tux Racer?
Ooh, that would be big news. But no, sir. A new version of...
Frozen Bubble. That's what it's got to be.
Nope.
What?
This is not a game story at all.
Oh.
No, sir. It is a little infrastructure story for your face. Linux kernel...
Chris, I'm going to stop you. I love a good infrastructure story. After we do this story, can you just make up new infrastructure stories?
Sure.
Because I just love infrastructure.
Do you want me to?
I want the underpinnings of infrastructure.
Well, why don't we talk about
here's what's going to happen. Chris is going to give you two stories right now. Both of them are infrastructure. One of them is going to be real. One of them he's going to make up. It's going to be up to you, the listener, to decide which is which.
All right, are you ready for this? I can do this actually.
Rock, you can do this.
Yeah, I got it.
You got this, man. You've been telling Linux infrastructure stories for so many years.
I won't tell you which one is real, Brian. But Linux kernel 3.3 hit the internets this week, and some news sites were reporting it as Linux 3.3 is now Android compatible, right? Did you catch some of those headlines?
I liked that.
Yeah.
That gave me the chuckles.
Yeah, it's not quite like that, but we are actually on the path to some grand unification. LinuxWeekly.net, LWN.net has a fantastic write-up on it. So this is actually, and they cover how it came up. They're at the 2011 kernel summit, and it didn't really include any topics about Android because Android had gotten thrown out of the Linux mainline back in 2009.
Yeah, a while back.
But Android came up anyways because it's kind of a big deal. And during that conversation, the conclusion was, let's bring it back in. So towards that effort, back in November, the core Android code was returned to the staging area, and that's good. So now it's being moved into the mainline space. The next Linux kernel release should almost boot an Android user space. So not the current one, but the next one should almost boot an Android user space, and we're only missing one piece. They call it ASHMEM. ASHMEM? I guess, and I got a description what it is down here.
Okay.
Once ASHMEM's in, that should hopefully land in the staging tree in the next week or so, which at this point it's not in there as of this recording. The patches are still being tested and cleaned up by others. So ASHMEM is a component that Android relies on that is a shared memory mechanism that is able to discard some of all of the contents when memory pressure gets high on a device, which is common on those restricted devices. Also of note, the Linux Weekly article points out that it would not be unsurprising if Android just suddenly grew new subsystems in the future, because the Android developers have made it clear that they are unable and unwilling to wait for the mainlining of processes to run its course before they need to ship products and things like that. So while we might get there, the next version of Android might break it where we have to catch up, that kind of thing.
Well, see, here's the thing. If you're putting out, let's say you need a new subsystem in Linux, right?
Yeah.
If you're the Android developers, it's been 3 months since you shipped a new version of Android. You've got to get a whole new UI on there that changes all the paradigms, and you're going to need a hardcore new Linux subsystem to change where those buttons are at.
Right.
You're going to need that.
All right, B-Man. Well, the next story on the news docket is another kernel 3.3 story using a new infrastructure technology called Open vSwitch, which has been brought into kernel 3.3. You're actually able to create a virtual switch between your VMs on your computer. So talk about that's like a local, local host speed over a switch. So beyond gigabit, really. And the great part about it is you can map BTRFS over that virtual network, and you can get an area-wide SAN without any infrastructure. All you need are the data packets themselves, and their actual routing through this virtual switch is where they get written to. It's only running, Brian, when you power the machine off, though. So it's still in development, but in the next kernel, the developers think they'll be able to flush that to some sort of cache. Which one's real, Brian?
I don't know. They both sound too awesome. I need them both.
All right, Brian. Well, the next story on the news docket. This is pretty cool. All of Iceland's public infrastructure is moving towards open source.
I love infrastructure stories.
This is actually just a quick story because we love covering these types of stories on Last. Whenever a government institution moves over to Linux,
we talk about it.
Yeah, we
it doesn't matter what government it is.
So all public administration in Iceland.
That is not to say anything derogatory about Iceland. I'm sure Iceland is full on badass awesome. I've never been there.
No.
Seems cool though.
Yeah.
Bjork is from Iceland.
Look what JB Viewer 39 says. That infrastructure. I love memes.
Let's see what else we got in Iceland.
Some grass.
Some grass. Well, people roll around in the grass in Iceland. Did you know that? Did you know that people have a thing where they roll around on the lawn? And
I hear their crab is delicious. So all
great.
public administrations in Iceland are increasing their use of free and open source software. The country's government recently launched a 1-year migration project for all of its public institutions. The goal of the project is to migrate public institutions to free and open source software in 1 single year.
Dang.
Well, they'll see about that. But if they can't get it done that 1 single year, they'll lay a solid foundation of infrastructure for which a migration can continue on.
God, they love infrastructure in Iceland.
Yeah, Brian, I agree.
Well, that's where me and Iceland are the same. We're simpatico because we both love infrastructure. And interesting side note.
Yeah.
This show was almost not the Linux Action Show. It was almost just infrastructure show.
Actually,
no action, no Linux, just infrastructure, because infrastructure is so awesome. It takes the place of both the words Linux and action.
Infrastructure would be great. We should rename TechSnap to Infrastructure. That's a great
name.
Yeah, it is a great name.
Why didn't you guys ask me what the name of the show?
God.
Jeez.
Well, I wanted to call it TechFap. So,
did you really?
Yeah, I did.
That's ridiculous.
I know, that's why we didn't call it that.
Ridiculous.
We didn't call it that. All right, let's talk a little desktop infrastructure. Okay, I'll knock it off.
That's like the fourth random innuendo you've had in this show. Or at least the third.
Oh, well, okay, fast.
In my mind, though, you've done like 6 or 7 more.
All right. Well, so this next story is for all of you who feel like you are lost in the sea of Linux desktops at the moment. Ubuntu 12.04 will feature in the repos GNOME Classic.
Yeah.
And I ran it last night for about an hour.
It's like GNOME.
It's like GNOME 2 dot something. I mean, it's
GNOME.
It's GNOME.
It's GNOME.
I actually, though, don't know how much of GNOME it is. Like, I don't know if they've swapped out some parts on me because, like, the bars were crashing a lot, and I don't know why that would be happening.
It's still not yet at release.
So I don't know if it's actually like these GTK2 appy looking things running on top of a fakey Unity, or if it really is GNOME. I don't know. Yeah. It's okay if you want the old menu.
I like that it's in there.
It works exactly like you would expect GNOME to work.
I'm glad it's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, nothing against Unity, but, I mean, for people who are having a hard time making the transition, it's nice to have that in there.
And if you want to check it out and you are actually running 12.04, the OMG Ubuntu link we have in the show notes has a one-click web link install, and click that effort and it loads, and you can check it out. And it just then shows up as another login option on your DM.
That is dandy candy delicious.
So, B-Man.
Yeah. What's happening?
I am a huge fan of Xbox Media Center, XBMC.
You love that stuff.
And there's even a Jupiter Broadcasting XBMC app, which is
I've been running XBMC since it was just on the Xbox.
Dude,
I had an old, hacked, original Xbox that I threw on just for XBMC, and that was our primary TV machine for a long time.
And then I rocked it because when they first ported it, they ported it to Linux, I believe. It was the original destination, and then later on it came to Windows.
Windows, and I think there's a Mac port.
So I have exactly same thing. I've followed it since I was downloading and installing it on the Xbox.
It's a good system,
and they've just released a new version this week. Plus, it's called Eden XBMC 11.0, and brace yourself, Brian. Improved JPEG loading.
Is it sitting on top of Fedora or something?
No, I think they might be using that.
Because I'm pretty sure that Red Hat has patented faster JPEG loading.
Turbo JPEG loading.
It's only Turbo's only in Fedora.
You know what? Though, that makes sense. Like when you have a library.
This episode's just about disseminating wrong information. I think
when you have a library of hundreds and hundreds of legally backed up and legally obtained content, it's probably nice to have those JPEGs render fairly fast on your screen.
You don't want it to be slow JPEG loading.
But they have they've also sort of redone and rebuilt the movie set scraping library thing.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to release a distro, and it's just going to have a feature called JPEG Appreciation. It's going to be intentionally slowed down JPEG loading, so it just does the old school 56K modem redraw of the picture all the way down, so that you can take your time and really appreciate when that picture is fully loaded.
So lots of software improvements. Not one thing worth mentioning is much improved unencrypted Blu-ray support, AirPlay support for iOS devices, and also an image for the Apple TV, which is I don't know about that. But the final version of XBMC Ubuntu or XBMC Ubuntu is shipping. So they have this distro that is XBMC Live, but it boots directly into XBMC, and you never see any underlying OS.
It's just handy.
Bam! You're right there.
I mean, not that it's hard to do that anyway, but still, it's kind of nice just to have it. Boom, done.
If you're going to load it on top of Ubuntu anyways, you might
as well. Yeah.
All right, B-Man, the next story in the news docket. Finally, the cries of thousands and thousands of Linux users have been desperately answered.
And billions.
I don't know what I'm going to protest on the side of the streets on the weekdays anymore, because Banshee 2.4.0 is released,
finally out,
and it is rocking that much awaited DVD support. Because every music manager needs to go that direction where they have to also become a video player. They can't just stay an awesome music player.
Yeah.
They have to go the video route. So Banshee's joining the group.
Here's the thing, guys, I love Banshee. Banshee's a great audio player. So now they added DVD video playback, which I don't understand at all.
No.
I
think Banshee has jumped the shark, B-Man.
It kind of does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, they also added UPnP, which is good.
That is good.
So that's a great thing. So basically, literally, if you scroll up, they talk about DVD playback first, though.
Yeah, that's
the thing. I'm like, guys, I think you're not understanding what Banshee is here.
Yeah.
But I love the features. This is a great release. It's the fact that they're talking about this random off-to-the-side feature of DVD playback, which has nothing to do with Banshee. And there's like a billion great improvements. It's faster, UPnP.
Improved. They've got improved media organization. The universal plug and play. They've upgraded the DAP support for playing to tablets and iTunes libraries and things like that.
Great new features. This is an awesome release. But then they put DVD. Honestly, it's not as bad as Fedora coming out with a new release with new features and putting faster JPEG loading as their number one new feature.
Right.
But it is kind of, you guys, seriously, you can put that as a bullet list because that's a new feature, but put it down maybe at least item number 2.
Yeah.
But seriously, though, this is a good release.
Yeah.
And the DVD playback works. Tried it. Seriously, I'm like, you know what?
I don't care.
I'm going to try this because I'm going to see what it's like. Maybe it's the best DVD playback experience I've ever had. So I popped in a DVD, and you know what I did?
What?
Played that damn DVD like nobody's business.
Okay, Rikai points out, it makes a good point. I should be all for video support in media players because video podcasts. So I do agree there.
Like Miro and things like that.
Well, no, I mean, people want to subscribe to the Linux Action Show video feed and Banshee.
Yeah.
They should be able to.
They should be able to.
You know what? You know why I'm Mr. Poo-Poo about it is because...
Why are you Mr. Poo-Poo?
Kids are DVD destroyers. Because they're like these discs they can throw. They're shiny. They're just the right size. They can hold a bunch of them at once. I mean,
They are.
Kid magnets.
They just go at them.
DVDs are like archived in boxes in my house.
You buy a DVD, you immediately rip it, and you put it on your machine so that they can't scratch the hell out of it. And then you put your DVD on the shelf.
And I'm a VLC bigot too, because VLC just keeps getting better. Version 201 has improved HLS streaming support, so now people can stream beautifully in VLC.
No claim.
Great. It's
VLC
a great video
is awesome.
player.
VLC is awesome. But come on, VLC is not an organizer.
No, you're
it doesn't
right.
do all that stuff.
You know what? For video podcasts, I should actually...
GStreamer is way better. And it uses,
I should do that.
It uses GStreamer as the back end. GStreamer isn't way better than VLC, but GStreamer is great. Has some great codecs for it. You can pick up like the Fluendo codec pack. You can play damn near anything on the planet with GStreamer, which means it plays in Banshee fine.
Yeah, it's true.
It's pretty
great.
great.
No, you're right.
The DVD playback is a little silly, but the rest of it is awesome.
I declare it has not jumped the shark. I declare.
That's really nice of you.
Yeah, well, I just want to make it clear.
All right. You're off the hook this time, Banshee development crew. We'll see what happens when you release the next version.
Yeah, we're watching for 2.5.
You're living on the edge right now.
All right, so we're going to do things a little out of order since the next segment would normally be our gaming segment, but we realize that not everyone might want to watch that because some of it's just going to be us getting shot in the face. Some of it will be us talking about games, though, so it's definitely worth watching and sticking around for. But I don't know if...
Awesome.
I know it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome.
But what if it's just a
Everyone's going to want to hang out and do this.
I think what we'll do, though, just to be safe, is we'll roll Matt's how-to segment next because it is an awesome one. Matt's going to come on here and talk about an awesome control program for Pulse Audio.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for example, Matt will talk about how he changes audio devices.
Don't ruin it.
All right, okay.
It's way cool. Like, seriously, though, stay tuned for Matt's segment. This is actually super cool.
And thank you to System76 who are sponsoring this segment. They sent us a Wild Dog machine for Matt to do all of these how-to store, and the Wild Dog Performance is a great little machine. Nice and quiet. Physically it's about half the size of the tower we were viewing, so if you feel like it's too big, the Wild Dog is like the right size fit. So thanks to System76 for doing that.
Chris, point of order. I'm not high-fiving you.
Oh, bummer.
I'm at whoa, high five.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was raising my hand for a point of order. This is a special note to the fine folks over at System76.
Yeah.
Now, gentlemen,
I have this really big HP laptop. Right.
Hold on, you're gonna steal my thunder here.
Okay.
Put that down for a second.
Oh, okay.
At home, I have a MacBook Pro.
How's that?
Now hold on.
All right. Okay.
So I make some Mac software sometimes,
Oh, I heard about that.
There's all that Dupla.
Oh, I heard about that.
SaveMyHouseFromApple.com. It's still going. I'll update you guys on that later.
So you make Mac software on a Macintosh?
On a Macintosh, right. Oh. So you have to have a Mac to do that. Now, I'm trying to move away from the Mac world. And I also make my software, of course, for Linux.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Now, most of my time on this MacBook Pro is spent booted into Linux.
It actually
one distro or another, and it works pretty good that way.
Yep.
The problem is, Apple has kind of made my life, let's just say, harder over the last couple of months.
I hadn't heard about that.
And I wouldn't mind not having to see that bright, glaring, laughing at me Apple logo every time I sit down to do development work.
Are you begging for a machine right now?
Nope.
Okay.
All I'm saying is this.
You are.
Hold on. Well, hold on. I'm not begging. Hold on. All I'm saying is this. When I pop open that MacBook Pro, it makes me sad. I know a machine with a logo on it Well, if I popped it open,
Yeah.
it'd probably make me happy.
I know.
And
I know.
I see it on the front of your website. It's that new laptop you guys got there.
I don't know about it, Brian. I don't know about it. I haven't seen that yet.
It looks kind of magna glorious. Just a little bit. I'm just saying that looks pretty glorious.
Yeah.
This information I'm putting over to you guys.
Okay.
Just to some infos.
I got this big HP laptop.
It's huge. Bring that in here.
There's no excuse for this thing. Look at this thing.
There's no excuse for this.
It is as big as I am. I mean,
and it literally, show them the side of it. It's thick. It's huge. It weighs like 12,500 pounds.
Yeah. Man,
that laptop on the system76.com website sure does look a lot nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm just saying. I mean, I don't know that for a fact because I haven't touched it.
Nope.
Yeah.
You gotta have experience
for extended periods of time.
Yeah.
I mean, extended touching.
Let's
a lot of touching.
Let's get out of this while we can.
Fingers all over that thing.
Let's
all over that thing.
Let's just step back, B-Man. We're gonna walk away from this.
I don't want to walk away.
We're just gonna put a pin in it and leave it right there.
I don't want to put a pin in it. I want to put my fingers on it.
No, put a little pin in that.
No fingers. Fingers, no pin. All right. Look at Matt for a while.
All right. Let's toss it to Matt.
Hey, thanks, guys. Today, we're going to be rehashing Jitsi yet again, but this time I'm going to show you how to operate the audio side of it. As we discussed before, you can do video conference calls with Jitsi using kind of a Skype-like interface, but how do you handle the audio and how do you handle your mic when you're using something like a headset that's running on USB? Well, I'm going to show you something called, I'm going to bring it up here, PAV. Basically, it's the Pulse Audio Volume Control. And what's cool about this is that once you have it installed and running, and you can literally just search for it from your package manager and it'll install right up for you, you will be presented with a little volume control that looks a little bit like this. And on its own, it doesn't look all that different than any other volume control manager, except for one very important piece, and that's when you're actually going to record something, you can actually assign an input to it. Normally with a volume control manager, your input settings are going to be based pretty much on the device and not so much the application. This gives you the option of, well, rather than trying to explain it, let me just go ahead and show you. I'm going to go ahead and call Chris up one more time. Maybe. Let's see. There we go. And we will go ahead and wait for that to connect. And once that does, I will show you what's going to appear here under the recording tab of this volume control. I'm going to answer that call. Now, instantly, you can see that it's actually detecting, if I tap this mic here, it's detecting that audio, and I can actually assign where I want that input to go, which device. But what's neat about it is that it's actually doing it based on the capture from the software and not just capturing from the device itself. So, for instance, if I need to transfer this to, let's say, a mic that is not USB-based, I can go ahead and put that back into the internal audio system there. Or if I want to bring it back to the USB mic, it's all connected. And so I can wear that and I can go ahead and talk as I please. And what's cool about that is that's the missing piece for most people with Pulse Audio, is that they're not sure how to get their mics working with software like Skype or like Jitsi, and they're trying to make these calls and they're trying to get their voices recorded, or for testing, or maybe they're just trying to call friends and they're not able to hear each other. Well, that's what's going on. It's basically you need to actually have this software running so that you can assign, while the software is going, while you're actually in a call, where you want that call to go. Even once you've ended that call, it's going to remember where you've left off. So you don't have to do this more than once. And by doing that, it's going to save you hours and hours and hours of wasting your time with this. This is the Ubuntu Sound Manager, and as wonderful as it looks, frankly, it's a little lackluster because it's going to give you your input, and it can see my voice, but when I call Skype or something like that, it's still going to be rolling back to the sound card instead of my headset. So that's kind of a big deal, something you're going to want to definitely consider if you're wanting to make calls. So definitely check that out, and it is going to be the Pulse Audio Volume Control. You can find that from your package manager, whatever distribution you happen to be using. It's usually easiest to find in Ubuntu and Linux Mint. So go ahead and check that out. Back to you guys.
I would like to spend just a couple of minutes, possibly more, talking about video games.
Okay.
Because I like video games.
I do too.
Video games are very important to me.
I agree.
And luckily, right now is an awesome time to be a gamer running Linux.
Yeah,
an awesome time.
We have got a list of great Linux games that are free. some that are not free, and some that you've probably heard of before but are still classic standbys.
Seriously great games. And now let's start this off by talking about the bundle, the Humble Indie Bundle. I mean, it's been going forever. Every one of you knows about it. But this Humble Indie Bundle has done so much for Linux gaming. And we've talked about this for years, about how Linux is an entirely viable platform for selling video games.
And you see it with the Linux portions are always the highest contributors versus what the other people are contributing to the Humble Indie Bundle. You know, Windows and Mac users are generally the larger group of purchasers, but they don't contribute as much. Well, yeah, you've got it right there.
Let's bring it up right here. Here, let me zoom in on this for you guys right here, so you guys can see this right there. This is what I'm talking about. Now, granted, that little blue pie that you see right there is a very small percentage of the overall pie, but it's about twice the size of the green pie, which is Macintosh. Now, Macs have traditionally gotten AAA gaming titles long before Linux does. But realistically, what they're showing here is Linux gamers tend to be willing to pay more and in larger quantities than Mac gamers.
And I think
that's really impressive.
Brought a huge boon of legitimacy to the Linux gaming industry. I mean, you have more and more games now talking about Linux support. And we're going to play some of them with the live stream audience and give you some highlights, and then at the end give you our thoughts. Like one of them that I am really looking forward to is Savage, the Battle for New Earth, and I don't know if that's the same as Savage 2. I've got both of them loaded. I got to check it out. I don't know if there's a difference, but I don't know much about the game.
Those are.
I jumped into it for like 10 minutes last night, and I was like, whoa.
Heroes of New Earth and Savage 2 are very different.
Okay, all right. So I'm curious to learn about, those are two games that are just not on my radar that I got to figure out, but they looked really great. So I'm looking forward to maybe play that a little bit the live stream.
Yep.
But we've got a few games in our list that we're probably not going to play too.
Yeah, so let's just talk about a couple of these games. Old, new, closed, not closed, whatever. Great games on Linux. So let's start off. Let's talk about Zoonotic really briefly.
All right.
Because we're going to be playing Zoonotic here in just a minute.
Oh, look at that. I got that.
Hey, look at that. That's how we're going to play. Yeah. Zoonotic is cool because it's a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
It's a great first-person shooter.
That's true.
I mean, really, it's more of your quick style, awesome, highly configurable frag fest than a lot of other first-person shooters. Like there are games such as Urban Terror, which we'll talk about right now as well, that is more about realism or pseudo-realism, where you're in a desert environment with some buildings and you got to capture the terrorists and use your MK whatever assault rifle.
Yeah.
It's gritty. It's more. It's more towards tactical team combat, whereas Zoonotic is just a great classic fast-paced frag fest. And it looks good, it runs well, it runs all over the place, and it's just a great game.
And as a little bonus, developers are fans of the show, which is always cool.
Well, all the greatest game makers seem to be fans of the show.
Okay,
That's just a hand-in-hand, part and parcel.
So that's one we're going to play with the live stream.
We're playing that a little bit. Now again, Urban Terror is also a great game, but it is grittier, and I love the tactical gritty games. There's something, and I know we used to play this. Chris, you and I used to play these really hardcore tactical gritty games. We'd sit around with just a couple of buddies in a room with real dark. The volume turned way up on the speakers, so that in those games where you don't hear anything. There's no music, and then you hear footsteps coming from the speaker of the guy in the other room, and so he's walking somewhere. You hear him open a door. You're like, crap! Is that door? Where is that door? It's so much fun. These are great games, but sometimes you need a frag fest. Zoonotic is it. In my opinion, Zoonotic is the definitive right now frag festy game.
I agree. I really am impressed with it. I've played it for a bit before the show, and I really like the style of it, the look of it. And also, if you're using Desura, it's really easy to load. It's super easy to install.
You just right-click on it and you're shabammy. So that's how we're going to be playing today. We've installed it via Desura, and then we're going to be playing.
We should maybe mention Desura itself. Desura is a pretty good little Steam competitor. It's got some issues. Like I had some stability issues, especially when trying to install multiple games.
Oh heavens, yes!
But I've got my screen here. We've got a camera pointed at my laptop screen. You can kind of see my face in there. And I'd say overall, Desura is a pretty good experience, and they've got a lot of free titles in here that you can load up. They've got this up-and-coming alpha funding section I like a lot. It's sort of like a mini Kickstarter built into there, which is pretty cool. And overall, I was able to go through and load up a bunch of different games within just a few minutes of time.
It's a great thing. I love it a lot. I also have had a lot of stability issues with it.
Yeah.
But honestly none that prevented me from getting the games and playing the games.
Yeah,
I was able to always make it work. It
I
just
echo the stability issues.
sometimes it got a little slow and sometimes it got a little crashy, but it did work.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to play games, which honestly I love seeing a good cross distro Linux based market.
It's
for
really
games.
easy. You download a tar.gz file, you extract it, you run the binary it extracts, and then it sort of self downloads and sets up. And as Metal Freak in the chat room is pointing out, there is a open source client version of it as well.
Yeah,
which we covered on the show.
There totally
before.
is. Actually, distro is kind of interesting because it doesn't use apt or RPMs or anything like that. It actually uses basically what is essentially like a zipped up file with some text file configuration files, kind of like its own custom cross-platformy package format, which is kind of cool.
I guess because they're trying to hit a lot of different targets.
They're trying to hit a whole bunch of stuff, and they want to be able to run on OpenSUSE and Debian at the same time, so you can't really rely on Deb or apt or anything else. So we were using Desura for a lot of this, but you can get these games all over the place.
Yeah, we got links to their sites in the show notes.
I want to change gears a little bit and talk about Project Zomboid.
Yeah, I was curious about this one.
This game is so cool looking. I've only tinkered around with the tech demo a little bit. I haven't picked this up myself, but I need to buy this game. The idea of this is it's all kind of pixel art, isometric view. The idea is you are a dude and you need to survive the zombie apocalypse. But what's really cool about it is it's not just a random arcade game. It's XCOM, like the Enemy Unknown games and your UFO defense and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
How as you were walking around, you only have certain things you can see.
Right.
Like the fog of war is very thick. Like you can only see things that you can see. So if you can see through a window, you can see what's out there. If you're in a room with the door closed, all you can see is what's in that room. And that's how Project Zomboid is. It's very dark. It's very pixelated, and there's zombies all
scenario.
over. Yeah, it's a worst case zombie scenario. And the whole thing is you have to survive. That's it. Just don't die. Just please don't die. And the cool thing about it is there's lots of problems that will cause you to die other than zombies.
Yeah.
Running out of food, running out of water.
Yeah.
As the gameplay goes on, the power plants will shut off. Like after a while, public infrastructure shuts down.
That's cool.
So things get darker. So if you better as heck have stocked up on batteries so your flashlight works. Otherwise, it's pitch black and the zombies will kill you in the darkness. If you're alone for too long, you start to go crazy. You start to get depressed. I mean, there's so much to this
that's
game.
a lot to factor.
It's a lot to factor, and it looks so cool. We've got links to all these games, by the way, in the show notes at jupiterbroadcasting.com. If you go to the show and you can scroll down a little bit, there's just a list that says great Linux games, and it shows the show notes. But Project Zomboid, it's not, near as I can tell, it's not really finished yet, but it's kind of like it's playable and it's there, and the developers are still working on it, but you can pick it up for just a couple of bucks or play the little tech demo. Cool. But really, really cool and really, really random.
That's a nice one.
So then Toribash. We'll talk about a game called Toribash.
Yeah, okay.
Or Toribash or Toribash.
Don't ask me.
I don't know.
Toribash is how I don't know.
Toribash?
Maybe.
It's a lot like Virtua Fighter in look and feel. The whole thing is it's a very physics-heavy based fighting game. But what makes it cool is you can program your own moves. So you can set up your own move combos. So jump in the air or come back and do a flip and then kick him in the head or something. See if you can play any of the videos from it. Because really the still shots of the game look like balls. Like
here's a video. Yeah, they got a video.
The still shots is just not interesting to look at all. The graphics aren't anything horrible or anything. It's just that the graphics are not the point of this game.
Right.
The game is incredibly violent, but it doesn't look real, so it kind of makes it better. Now check this out.
Ooh.
Right? Now keep watching. Now see, the guys can come in and you design your own moves, and it's very physics heavy. So the body parts fly apart. So it's kind of in a way like playing like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, except the head isn't the only thing that pops up. It's like all the ball joints and pieces of the body just flies apart.
So you
violence perfected.
You predefine your moves and then execute, and then you go in and fight. And if he's defined better moves than you, then he wins. That kind of thing.
Kind of. Great game.
Huh. That does look a lot of fun.
It's really cool. So yeah, Tora Bash, again, very different. Because fighting games get kind of stale after a while for me. Like Street Fighter 2 is a great game, and SNK makes a ton of great games. Once you get past the new
environments and some of the new ways to do things, it kind of gets old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't need to play Mortal Kombat 27 over and over again and just finish him again. Whereas this one, it's a whole new take on it. Yeah. It's interesting.
I like
it's kind of cool.
I'll check that one out for sure.
Kind of cool.
All right, what else?
Was there anything else you want to talk about? Because I have more stuff for me to talk about.
Well, no, I'm going wrong because the ones I want to talk about are the ones we're going to play.
Okay, cool. Heroes of New Earth.
Yeah.
That's one that guy up. A lot of people know about this already. Heroes of New Earth. The reason we bring this up, Heroes of New Earth is a really cool game.
Yeah.
It's a cool game. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, the hero portion of Warcraft 3. You know what I mean? It's kind of got that thing going on to
I can
it.
see
That's
that.
pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
It's a little bigger than that, and there's more to it, but that's kind of the gist. But it runs on Linux, and there's a Linux client available, so you can play this on Linux just fine.
I like that.
It just isn't talked about a whole hell of a lot. So I wanted to mention that here, that this is a great game. It's a very high-quality game that you can play on Linux.
All right. That's a good one. That looks really good. I gotta say, we're watching a little video of it here for you guys listen to the audio version. And it looks really clean. Like it's got a really good graphics engine on it.
It looks a lot like Warcraft 3. Like I think that's their basis. If you scroll up and look at their logo, even their logo is a World of Warcraft.
Yeah, you're
Warcraft
right,
3 World of Warcraft logo. They went for the same art style. They went for the Warcraft 3 play type a lot of times. I mean, that's how they got their big press, I think, to start with. But it is a really great game and a really high quality. So definitely worth playing.
Check that one out.
Check that one out. Now,
do you want to give honorable mention to Vendetta Online since we won't be playing that on the live stream?
Yeah, actually, I want to do this a little thing here. So, Vendetta Online is a great, massively multiplayer game set in space. It's basically Wing Commander in space, massively multiplayer.
I've heard it's it's Wing Commander in space. That's actually
Wing Commander in space. Well, it's Wing Commander is in space.
Well, yeah,
massively multiplayer Wing Commander.
Right.
It's really kind of what it is.
Right.
It's a great game. It's like Wing Commander Privateer, massively multiplayer, and it looks great. It plays great. Honestly, this is, to me, the quintessential, the best massively multiplayer in-space game there is.
They got a client for Android, too, which is cool, Windows and Mac. And
it runs great. Like, I've got this little HTC Flyer here. The Vendetta Online client runs fantastically well on this.
See, I like the idea of being able to play it on the tablet.
The controls are not that great on the tablet, but enough to where you can do some trading, some mining, play with your ship a little bit.
That's not bad.
Log in to be able to change what you're working on.
I like that.
But for the real twitching play, I recommend having 2 joysticks. Getting literally 2 joysticks, because the whole point of the game is great space physics and great controls. So now you can either have 1 joystick and like a throttle, which is how I used to play,
That's cool.
or 2 joysticks, end up playing it even better. But it's massively multiplayer, and these guys have supported Linux from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I love that about them. Their Linux client is first class, AAA. Awesome.
Do you remember what the monthly fee is? It's
cheap.
It's like $14 or
yeah, whatever.
I can't remember.
Something like that. But it's free. There's no you have to pay $50 just to download the game.
There's
a 14-day free trial.
Before Stowe came out, I was a subscriber.
Yeah, it's a great game.
I just kind of switched over to Stowe when that came out, which does not run very well.
Dude, if this game had ships from the Star Trek universe, I would get so much less done in my life. But this game truly is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
But we've talked about Vendetta Online in the past. So I want to talk about Deliantra. Now, this is
a new one for me.
There's a lot of massively multiplayer games in the world. And there's a lot of freebie ones. And there's a lot of ones where they're, kind of going the more retro route. And this is definitely that category. It's free. It's very retro. Click on the screenshots thing at the top
One
here.
player online, it says at the moment. I wonder if you suppose that's true?
Yeah, no, click on that top screenshot there.
All right.
There's definitely there's definitely a lot going on there. But there's a lot of games like this out there.
Oh, this looks great.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like it's a very large game. And kind of zoom out so you can see all of that. There you go. There's a lot going on. The graphics are very, very early to mid 1990s in look and feel.
Yeah.
Plus some transparencies. It's a big, giant world map. There's lots to do.
Right. They always have to slip in the transparency.
Yeah. I mean, so if you like rogue type games with a lot more going on, Like kind of like it's like if you mix Rogue with Ultima Online and a few other type of those games.
So this looks pretty fun. It'd be fun to play with other people. And
yeah, totally lots of fun.
They have a little mini game in there too. It looks like.
That's cool. I don't know what's going on with it with that, but honestly, it's kind of cool. Here's the thing, and the reason I bring this one up, and I'm not going to bring up any of the other massively multiplayer games because there's a bazillion of them.
Yeah,
is there are a lot of free with retrographic, massively multiplayer games out there that are really high quality. Like in terms of gameplay and pure fun factor, that just honestly, in my mind, blow out of the water the fun factor of World of Warcraft and EverQuest and every other big name AAA massively multiplayer.
The ones
game.
that are
And so I really, it's worth investigating. It's worth a little time investigating because these games are free. They don't cost you anything. And honestly, look at those.
Well, Vendetta has the monthly.
Vendetta has the monthly, but most of these games are pretty cheap. And honestly, I really do recommend Vendetta. The other way to go for massively multiplayer gaming is just go with a BBS.
That's true, huh? The old school
go really old school. So recently, my BBS, the House of Lunduke BBS, which you can check out at lunduke.com if you just click on BBS on the little sidebar there, just hit 10,000 people logging in and playing games. Or not 10,000 people, but 10,000 logins. 10,000 calls. 10,000. And it has not been online that long. Man.
Can you imagine 10,000 real phone calls? That'd be a lot of phone calls.
Yeah, when I was in high school, we ran a BBS.
Yeah.
Me and Jeremy ran a BBS.
Yeah.
Who Jeremy from Stoked.
Right.
We ran a BBS when we were in high school. Man, if we would have gotten 1,000 calls, we would have been doing a dance in the street. We would have been so happy.
Right.
10,000 calls.
Yeah.
BBSing, alive and well. And there's a lot of great massively multiplayer games. And again, free to play. Graphics may not be great, but they're pretty phenomenal, and you can play them anywhere. So I wanted to make mention of that real quick. Okay. Got to keep going with this. Savage 2.
Savage 2, which I have now loaded on my machine. Should I launch it?
Yeah, launch it up.
Let's see what we get. Because this is one that I'm kind of excited to try.
Now, Savage 2 is a game I don't play.
No, I don't play it either, but
I have played it.
It looked like, so I jumped into it last night.
It's not launching.
No, it's not. It happens sometimes. I launched into Savage 2 last night just for a little bit, and I was pretty impressed with what I saw, but I was pretty lost with what I saw too. So that was kind of the reason I wanted to play it here with the live stream folks. But it essentially looked like team versus team type matches you can do and stuff like that, and it kind of has a little not World of Warcrafty look to it, but almost that kind of art style.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it takes place in the land of Newerth, and there's an epic struggle that's involved. And I don't know. I'll give it my thoughts maybe after we do the live gameplay if I get it running and tell you what I think about it.
I mean, it's cool. Yeah. We make mention of it because it runs on Linux, and I have nothing to say about it.
Yeah.
Other than I got about 1 billion requests of people to mention it.
It's been on my to-do list now, so hopefully after today I'll have a better opinion of it.
Yeah, I hope so too. Let's see. Is there anything else on our list that we wanted to make sure we hit? Oh, Spring! Make quick mention of Spring because this is kind of interesting. So Spring is a real-time strategy engine for building real-time strategy games that runs cross-platform and, of course, on Linux.
Oh, that's cool.
There's a bunch of games. If you go to the game section of the Spring website, there's a bunch of games, springrts.com, that are very different from each other, but use the Spring system to build real-time strategy games.
Cool.
Sci-fi stuff, World War II stuff, very different gameplay mechanics. It's very, very cool looking. And
jeez, look at that. That's great.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal. And there's a bunch of games that got recommended to me that are based on Spring, or at least one big one. I can't remember the link off the top of my head, but based on Spring, that's not even up on their website if you look around.
I like that, though. They make the infrastructure available, right? The infrastructure, Brian.
I like infrastructure.
And then Bob's your uncle.
Bob is your uncle. Then there's Minecraft, which we don't care about.
Oh, come on. No, Minecraft's awesome.
I like Minecraft.
Yeah, we even have a Minecraft Jupiter Colony server. We're currently running at version 1.24, and Rikai always is working hard on there.
Giving you a hard time.
And you can go to minecraft.jupitercolony.com or just mc.jupitercolony.com. And we even have a TeamSpeak available for it if you want to chat with the people who are doing it.
Now, Enigma from the chat room is pointing out that he's getting overwhelmed with the amount of games so far. And that is a great point. That is what's so awesome right now about being a gamer on Linux. You'll notice we've gone through games that are purely text-based, great AAA-looking graphics, all over the map gameplay. Some of them are free, some of them are subscriptions, some of them are paid, and that is awesome. And that doesn't even get into the flood of games coming out through the Humble Indie Bundle. Like right now, the Humble Indie Bundle has got some pretty cool games coming out. Honestly, right now, it's kind of heavy on the ports of iPhone and Android app side of things with Cannonbalt and Zenbound 2. But there are some great games there coming through, both in terms of hardcore games and more casual games. And almost every time this happens, we've got 5+ great Linux games. I mean,
and of course,
awesome.
Red Eclipse in the chat room is pointing out the fact that we haven't mentioned Red Eclipse, which is over at redeclipse.net and is available for Linux. And it looks like it is.
I've never played Red Eclipse.
No, neither have I, but it looks like it's a pretty neat little first-person shooter, B-Man. So there's a plug for Red Eclipse if that's a new one to you guys too, maybe. And go check it out at redeclipse.net.
So what we're saying is lots and lots of games. Now, here's the thing. There's no way we can talk about and cover all the games that are out there.
No,
there's no chance.
Especially not play them on the show. So we have to be choosy about what we're actually going to play and then talk about in the show, because we've only got a few minutes to fit all this in. In fact, we've already spent about the entire segment talking about it.
So here's the thing. If you've got interesting games that you think are underappreciated, maybe people just don't know about, there's a lot of ways you can spread the word. Going over to jupitercolony.com, add in a new forum post in there, talk about it in the Linux Action Show segment, point people to great games that run on Linux, because honestly, people want to know, because people are a lot of times asking us, what are the great new games? And there's no way we can cover all of them. So we need your help in spreading the word about the coolest games that are out there.
That's true.
So if you've got a game that you just can't put down, go to jupitercolony.com. That's the best place to talk about it.
Well, what do you say? The one the chat room wants to play the most is Zonic. Or
Zoonotic.
Zoonotic. And
I think
we should
play it.
I got a webcam on my microphone specifically with the purpose of being able to show folks my screen.
So hardcore.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little riggy, but it's the best way to get video out. There's like the only option to get video out. So we'll be showing our screens from time to time as we play, and what you'll probably see is a consolidated, highlighted version of what we got to do on the live stream. I was gunned down by Brian Lundu.
Yeah, you were.
Man, that's hostile, Brian.
Boom!
It's hostile.
I don't need to beat the rest of you guys.
Your winning recipe really just be to follow me around and shoot me, because I'm like a...
Do not need to beat you guys,
like
but
an
I need
old
to
man
beat Chris.
playing this game.
Nothing is more important in my life right now. Unstoppable.
Hey, you know what I want? New
Brian
gun.
Lundu.
Oh, okay. New gun. All right, Brian, watch out for me. I got a new gun. All right, chat room saying Urban Terror.
Urban Terror. Oh. You know what's going to be really sad is if I get it installed and get into the game before you figure out how to join the game.
Well, except for you're going to have the same problem.
Whatever. I'm going to be able to just do it. When I click on this, it's going to go boom. You want to play a game? I'm like, yeah, let's play a game. Let's do it. Let's play a game.
Do it.
That's what it's going to be like. It's going to be great.
God, that looks good on that computer. Warsaw.
Whoa! Everything went crazy.
Yeah, that's when Compiz crashes. Compiz probably crashed on you. Aww.
Seriously, I can't do anything anymore. System's dorked. I think we might just be one game and done.
That's too bad.
I think so. I'm dorked.
Yeah, all right. Well, so we ran into some technical challenges, but that was a little extended Zoonotic.
But really,
that was good.
Zoonotic's great. And what is a good LAN party without technical problems? I mean, seriously, when was the last LAN party you went to where you didn't spend at least an hour trying to get everyone all set up?
The technical problems that I ran into was Savage 2 won't launch from Desora, so I didn't get a chance to play that.
Yeah.
Warsaw is freaking out on your machine.
Yeah, I can't do anything.
You can kind of see like Brian lost all the borders around his windows. It totally crashed Compiz.
I'm dorked beyond
and
words.
For some reason, in Urban Terror, with the Desora version...
We can't join a remote server.
Yeah.
No matter what server we choose, no matter what we do.
That said, Zoonotic or whatever, really good. Zoonotic
worked just fine.
And
right out the gate.
And I thought that was a lot of fun. And also, the map you had of Urban Terror that we didn't get a chance to play, but you got to run around it.
It's cool.
Looked really good.
Yeah, hold on. Maybe if I hit Control-Alt-Delete, bring up the task manager real quick.
Yeah.
Maybe I can close things down and task
You can reboot if you want. I mean, I don't think it'll hurt anything.
Fine.
Yeah, of course, then you'll lose your chat room.
Then I'll lose the chat room.
Yeah. So
which I can't interact with anyway.
Well, so the core thing I would take away from this is since our experiment was somewhat successful here on the show, and maybe we'll refine this process for a future episode, but go over to the show notes and grab the links for all of the games that we have in there, because really that's the master list.
That's the master list. And like I find things like Desora awesome because it helps you find those games. But then honestly, maybe go check out their website to see if they've got the latest and greatest there. Now, I'm not saying don't use Desora, because Desora is awesome.
But we ran into another issue where some folks had a newer version from the website than what was in Desora. So there was a little mismatch there.
It's hard for the developers to keep every version on every store and every repo always up to date.
Generally, their website's going to be up to date.
That's the place to be.
Yeah. All right, B-Man. Well, that's the Linux Action Show's look at some Linux games.
And that brings us to the end of this week's amazing broadcast. Quick, show the screenshot of my game again.
Whoa, there it is.
Oh, there it is. Scroll down.
Scrolling down.
Scroll down. Bring open the video.
Hey, you got video on there? Look
Bring
at
up
you.
the video. Look at that. It's a trailer.
Yeah.
It's a trailer with a video. You look at that. Oh my gosh, it's a video game. Everyone loves a video game. I love your video game. Your kid's coming in.
Hey, yeah, there's my kid. Come here, Dylan.
Hey, Dylan, come on
say hi to
in.
the internet.
Come say hi to the internet, dude.
Come over here. So, thanks to everybody who joined us. You know, I think overall it was fun to do. We play a little
Chris,
bit on the
what are
live
you
stream.
doing? We're talking, but the video for my game. Click that back up again.
Oh, what?
Which button is it?
This one right here?
Boom. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, sorry.
Well, where's the one with us and that?
Oh, we have that one right there.
That's the one.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. You can go ahead and talk about whatever you want to talk about while this is going.
Well, okay. Well, I was just going to say, I think we had some fun. I think I walked away with a couple of new games that I'm going to play off air too. Hey, say hi to the internet real quick before you go. Say hi to in the microphone.
You say hi.
Hi, microphone.
No, say hi to the internet.
Hi, internet.
All right, thank you. All right, now go on. You don't get to have the whole microphone. They just got back. Hi, Abby. They just got back from the park. So.
Good job going to the park, guys.
All right. Well, we're just finishing up the show. We're almost done. All right. I think Dylan wants to do a show.
Two critical things here. If you have a LAN party, you have technical problems, games won't work. I guess this is more than two things.
Yeah.
You're going to have incompatibilities with server types.
Right.
Patch problems are going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
And then when you get playing good, your kids come home. Just so everyone knows, that's how that works. But here's the great thing.
This is the most stereotypical LAN party
Ever.
you could ever have.
Ever. But here's the great thing. We can do it all under Linux because there's so many great Linux games going on right now.
Yep.
That's
all right,
awesome.
B-Man. Well, I think that's just about everything we were going to cover on this year's
I'm pretty
episode
sure as long as everyone went to lunduke.com and picked up a copy of $22.99 the
think we're all
game,
done then?
I think we're all done at lunduke.com.
I would like to recommend that people go over to the Jupiter Broadcasting website. New site. Just put it up on the internet about 6 years ago, and maybe 7. And I've got a new episode posted over there.
Let's just round it up to 10.
All about our new show, Unfiltered, which is coming to the network
It is
soon.
all about water purification.
Not quite, because that would be the opposite of water. This would be unpurifying your water.
Pretty confident that's what it is. So it's about dirty water.
It's about dirty clouds. Maybe not. Actually, I'm going to see if I can't twist your arm to come on there from time to time and maybe do a little segment or two.
Segment or two.
Well, you'll see. I'll talk to you about it off air. I don't want to spoil it.
Should we talk about that off air?
Mm-hmm.
Well, as long as I'm talking about water, I'm happy.
Yeah, all right.
That's like my thing now.
Well, so we do the Linux Action Show live on Sundays at 11 a.m. Pacific over at jblive.tv.
Kind of want to start a new website, just briandrinkingwater.info, and it's just videos of me drinking water.
.co, sir.
.co, sir.
Yes. No, .co.
.co.
Yeah. There you
sir.
Go. All right. And, of course, Linux Action Show is released for download Sunday evenings in just about any format you would ever want. Well, not really. Actually, that's not true at all. But in a lot of great formats.
if you happen to want the formats we release in, it's available in any format you could ever want.
Also, did you know about keepvid.net? I think if you plug the URLs of the Linux Action Show YouTube videos into keepvid.net, you can download a WebM version of the Linux Action Show.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
That's
always
that saves us some
It does.
work. I like that.
Because the WebM files take about 4 hours to encode versus the X264 file, which takes about 45 minutes to encode. So it would just pushes the release of the show so far out.
RenX99 wants a VHS format.
Renx, contact me over email and we'll work out some sort of payment plan where you can help me invest in the hardware necessary to do that. But for you, sir, you bet.
The hardware necessary to do
Well, think about it. I got to get
Do you have a tape player still somewhere?
No.
Do you not have a VHS
I don't.
player anywhere?
No, we got rid of our last one.
You're joking
A
with
family
me.
member needed a TV, and so we gave it.
You don't have it like sitting like in like a basement or an attic somewhere,
Nope.
just like a closet where stuff is stacked on top of it, and there's some peanut butter smeared all over the heads or something.
VHS is the technology I will never be nostalgic about. I never liked VHS and the stupid ribbons and the clunky cassette and the
stupid ribbons.
and the low quality. Now DVD, sure, I could be nostalgic about.
Dude, next
that.
thing you're gonna tell me, you're gonna be like, man, 5 1/4 and 3.5 inch floppies.
No.
Screw those.
No, those
with
are
their,
awesome.
with their tape and their magnetical
Laser disc?
things. Awesome.
Awesome.
No, I don't agree.
Yeah.
Laserdisc is just it.
Awesome, yeah.
Really, we should just
Yeah.
have stopped at Laserdisc.
Dude, it's got
those things
CD
are
quality audio.
CD quality audio.
Yeah, that's like.
And they're this big, and the platters weigh like 2 metric tons.
And you
They're
had to
awesome.
flip them over, and it was just.
Oh, glorious.
All right, B-Man. Well, that just about wraps up this week's episode of the Linux Action Show, and we'll be right back here next Sunday.
We should just make a show called We Like Old Stuff Better Sometimes. That'd be great.
Yeah,
That'd be a good show.
That's kind of the show.
That is kind of the show. Chris.
Yeah, what's
Don't
up?
copy that floppy.
All right. Don't copy that floppy.
Man.
Seriously.
Man, Stuart Chaffee is awesome.